Barry Evans is a Texas cotton farmer facing a severe drought.
This year, from August of 21 to August of 2022, we had about 1.5 inches of rainfall.
Extreme heat and lack of precipitation forced the fourth-generation farmer to walk away from 75% of his cotton crop. And Evans is not alone. Across Texas, farmers are expected to abandon roughly 69% of cotton acres that they planted earlier this year. The Lone Star State accounts for about 40% of U.S. cotton production.
It's been one of the harshest growing years that we have ever seen historically, all the way back to the 1950s.
And it's not just cotton farmers who are impacted by the drought. Cotton gins, where the cotton is processed, may be facing an even tougher time.
It's a tough year for the infrastructure of the cotton industry, and we've got a product that, unfortunately, if we don't gin, we don't make a lot of money. So we're at the mercy of the weather, as it were.
America's cotton production is expected to be about 14 million bales in 2022, down 21% from the previous year. Cotton prices, which surged in the spring of 2022 following growing Chinese demand, have since fallen amid economic uncertainty and a strong U.S. dollar. The cotton industry is facing other headwinds too, as consumers shift towards clothes made from synthetic fibers like polyester and nylon.
Before the arrival of man-made fibers, cotton really was king. Cotton was widely accessible in terms of it was affordable, it was available all over the world.
The U.S. is the world's largest exporter of cotton, sending the vast majority of the cotton it grows abroad. China and India, the top two cotton producers, account for about half of the globe's harvested cotton. So what impact will the drought and consumer preferences for synthetic fibers have on America's cotton producers? CNBC traveled to Texas, the U.S.'s largest cotton-producing state, to find out. Barry Evans is a cotton farmer in West Texas with 3 decades of experience. The 60-year-old says cotton is an ideal crop for this region because of its drought-tolerant qualities and its ability to bring in a healthy return.
For our money, it's our best cash crop. It returns us the most dollars for what we grow.
But an almost complete lack of rainfall meant Evans was forced to walk away from a significant portion of his 4,000-acre farm. The drought could cost cotton farmers and related industries in Texas $3.2 billion in 2022.
This drought has been one of the hardest. We've had tough years before.
Crop insurance, which acts like car insurance, provides some relief to farmers impacted by natural disasters like drought or a loss of revenue due to a decline in price. But the insurance is costly. A recent study found climate change had triggered an increase in crop insurance payouts to the tune of $27 billion between 1991 and 2017.
In a drought like this, crop insurance is a lifesaver for us as farmers.
Rising input costs are impacting farmers as well.
This past year, our chemicals went up 200% to 300%. Our fertilizer more than doubled in price.
And it's not just the lack of rainwater and rising costs that are hurting cotton farmers. The Ogallala Aquifer, one of the world's largest fresh groundwater resources and a major source of water for the state of Texas, is being depleted. The underground lake, which stretches across 8 states, could be exhausted in the next 80 years, due in part to farmers pumping groundwater for irrigation.
The Ogallala Aquifer is running out of water. We understand that we are every year progressing more and more closely to 100% rain-fed cotton production in this part of the world.
Declining water levels have forced cotton farmers to convert much of their irrigated fields back to dry land. In 2022, Evans grew 2,000 acres of cotton on his farm, including 500 acres that were irrigated and 1,500 acres that were not irrigated. All of his non-irrigated cotton crops failed.
30 years ago, I was 80% irrigated. Today, I'm 15% irrigated. So that's because of the decline in the aquifer.
The Ogallala Aquifer has become depleted to the point that those acres have to be transitioned into rain-fed or dry land. But at that same time, new technologies, whether it be in breeding, irrigation technology, crop production technologies, have allowed us to maintain our ability to grow cotton in this part of the world.
The U.S. is the world's top cotton exporter, providing roughly 35% of the global market in recent years. However, like its farmers, Texas cotton gins, where cotton is processed, are facing a substantially lower output this year.
Last year's crop, the 2021 crop, we For instance, our facility here ginned 51,630 bales. It was a great year, second biggest year that we've ever had. This year, we're going to struggle to get 10% of that.
Dan Jackson is the manager of Meadow Farmers Co-op Gin in Meadow, Texas. The gin got its start in 1934. Fewer bales harvested this year means less cotton entering and leaving the gin. Cotton exports are forecast to reach a 7-year low of just 12.5 million bales in 2022, an almost 23% decline from 2017.
I had a crew here for right at 3.5 months last year. We ginned that whole crop with one crew because we couldn't find enough for a night crew. This year, we'll run 10 to 12 days.
And in addition to idle equipment and fewer workers, gins have also seen other obstacles, including higher input costs for items like diesel for trucks and electricity to run machines.
You have a year like this where you're anticipating 60-70% loss of production. Those gins don't have that flow through to provide that service and generate revenue. It forces them to be fairly creative in trying to stay alive.
Advancements in transportation in recent years and larger facilities have led to consolidation among cotton gins. There were 510 active cotton gins in the U.S. in 2021, compared with 682 active cotton gins a decade earlier.
Texas at the time in 1907, that era had over 4,000 gins. Today, we're in the 2 to probably 250 range, I would think.
Cotton exports were valued at $5.7 billion in 2021, compared with soybeans, America's top agricultural export, which was valued at $27 billion that year. But how does cotton make its way from the field to the retailer? Harvested cotton is pressed into round bales or modules in the field and transported to a gin. At the gin, the bale is loaded onto a module feeder where it is dismantled before passing through a dryer to reduce moisture. Cotton fibers are then separated from the seeds, cleaned, and pressed into bales of lins. Lin bales are then sent to a warehouse where they are stored before being transported by ship overseas, and then to a mill where they will be processed into textiles and apparel. Cotton seed is made into cooking oil or sold as feed for dairy cows.
Nothing goes to waste out of the ginning process, out of this part of the cotton industry.
Cotton is then shipped back to the U.S. where it is sold as shirts, jeans, or towels. One bale of cotton can produce more than 200 pairs of jeans or about 1,200 t-shirts. The top export markets for U.S. cotton include China, Vietnam, and Pakistan.
We're kind of unique in the fact that cotton as a whole is exported overseas. 90% roughly of raw fiber is exported to a market, be it Pakistan or Bangladesh or Vietnam, and China are some of our largest markets.
Because we export now about 85%, the tariff policy in China has probably a bigger role to play in U.S. prices than even some of the production factors that happen here in the U.S.
While drier conditions and a lack of water are a concern for farmers, new varieties of cotton could help future producers to maintain their yields.
Genetic improvements for cotton are going to be key to maintaining our ability to produce cotton in this region.
At BASF's breeding program in Lubbock, Texas, scientists and breeders work to create new varieties of cotton that have better fiber quality, produce bigger yields, and are drought resistant.
Cotton is a perfect flower. So what does that mean? It has male and female parts in the flower itself. So what we do, it's called emasculation, where we'll take off the male parts on one flower, and then we'll take the male from another one and basically cross it. And when you cross it, we then save that boll. And that boll could make 20 seeds. We then take that seed and we plant it out the next year.
New variety development efforts have not only maintained yields in this area, but they have increased yields in this area.
From start to finish, it takes breeders at BASF roughly a decade to develop new varieties of cotton. Seed development starts in the greenhouse and moves to the fields where plants are mass-produced. The company works with roughly 200 growers to produce seed for commercial sale.
They'll go and blow it up. They'll put it on hundreds of acres to get enough seed to bag up and then to sell to the growers.
BASF's agricultural division had revenue of $8.4 billion in 2021, 6.5% higher than a year earlier.
30 or 40 years ago, the quality of our cotton was not that good in West Texas, and today we grow some of the best quality cotton of anywhere in the world. We've just seen massive improvements through the years in what a crop's able to do with limited irrigation and limited rainfall.
But the cotton industry's biggest threat might not be from the lack of water. consumer preferences for synthetic fibers like lycra and nylon are also impacting the sector.
Our biggest competition is synthetic fibers. Polyester is our biggest competition.
In 2002, polyester overtook cotton as the world's most commonly used fiber. The synthetic fiber, derived from petroleum, dries quicker, is more stain-resistant, and wrinkles less. The global synthetic fiber market is expected to reach $98 billion by 2030.
The game really changed around the time of the Second World War, when chemists from major corporations, including DuPont, Monsanto, really had started to perfect man-made fibers, also known as synthetic fibers, and that really totally changed the game in terms of the role cotton played in the American wardrobe.
We've sort of hit the bottom and turned that around in the sense that what we see now is a little more retail demand for at least blended products, and that certainly is bode well for U.S. producers in terms of net price. We also have to remember that the rest of the world is growing too. Even though China produces a lot of synthetic fiber, their retail consumers have really started pushing for more cotton-based.
But while athleisure and yoga pants may have taken over American fashion, cotton might be on the cusp of a resurgence as younger consumers gravitate to more eco-friendly fibers and are more aware of the environmental impact associated with synthetic fibers. The U.S. is forecast to remain the world's top exporter of cotton in 2032, with a 30% market share.
What's really interesting is that while, the dominance of synthetic fibers simply cannot be ignored, cotton really refuses to give up its place as an important fiber in the American wardrobe.
We'll continue to grow cotton here because it is such a good crop for our environment. Every area is limited on what they can grow, and you grow what you can wherever you're at, and cotton is a good fit for us.